To start off, I'll be going over the events that led up to the great first Thanksgiving. It all started when a man called John Smith landed in Cape Cod. He left behind his associate Thomas Hunt to make trade with the Indians. Instead, he ended up trapping them in the cellar of his ship and selling them into slavery. Squantum, also referred to as Squanto, was part of an Indian tribe called the wait a minute. Okay. Here we go. Let's see. Pronounce. That's not it. Let's. I don't know how to say that. Anyways. No.
Patuxet. Patuxet.
Okay. All right. He was part of the Patuxet tribe. He was on board the ship like the other ones. And this is where his story starts. He ended up escaping slavery and found himself en route to London. He lived with the treasurer of the Newfoundland Company, John Slaney, for a few years. While he was here, he picked up the English language. John Slaney arranged for Squanto to go back to his homeland, so he sent him to his ship's captain, Captain Thomas Dermer. Captain Dermer and Squanto set off to New England to return peace and trade with the Indians. While traveling, they passed by Squanto's old, not again. Okay. No, look, it's already pre-typed. Anyways, when traveling, they passed by Squanto's old Patuxet settlement to find out all the members are dead from the plague. Sadly, their plan to return peace with the Patuxet was ruined. Plague. I'm gonna butcher these names, but anyways, Squanto made contact with the heads of the Wampanoag tribe, Massasoit, and his brother, Katakina. Because Squanto's own people were gone, he was able to take up residence in their town, while Dermer went to go make peace with the Nauset tribe. Unfortunately, while Dermer was negotiating peace, he was attacked and taken hostage. After hearing the news of Dermer's imprisonment, Squanto set off to work out his release. After he was released, he continued south, where he was attacked again, dying from his wounds shortly after he reached Jamestown, Virginia. Rest in peace, Captain Dermer. The Pilgrims arrived in Provincetown Harbor shortly after in 1620, 1 year after Squanto returned. The Pilgrims set out on many expeditions and got attacked on their third one. Luckily, nobody was injured, and continued their expedition when they found the old Patuxet camp and decided to settle there. Which, is not really a good idea since it was infested by the plague. Luckily, they were not affected by this plague at all. They were off pretty good living off of the Mayflower, but they nearly ran out of food and supplies, so they started to move towards the shore after the winter months. Because, food is pretty essential if you're trying to survive, especially in these times. Once again, there's a warning. I will butcher every single name that I will be talking about today. But after no signs of Indians for months, Samoset, from an Indian tribe in Maine, arrived to their colony. Greeting them with somewhat broken English, he informed them of Squanto, who was very fluent in the English language, and he could help them. Squanto made an appearance 6 days later with the heads of the Wampanoag tribe. The Pilgrims and Indians agreed to a peace treaty and began trading. After a while, Squanto became a vital part of the Plymouth colony. Being their translator and all, he started to teach them many different hunting and building techniques to help them survive. Because they need to survive. After their successful harvest, the Pilgrims decided to hold a feast and invited over 100 people, including the Indians. This feast lasted for 3 days. They held a few of these feasts. Many called this the first Thanksgiving, but it really was just a harvest festival, which was held on many different days of the year, not just the third Sunday. Third Sunday. Yes, I just used that a second time. Obviously, I don't know my days. Anyways, at one point, Squanto's power started to corrupt him, slowly but surely. He was starting to tell many lies to the Wampanoag tribe, that the Englishmen have guns and are storing the plague in the cellar of the Mayflower. Obviously, this could not be true, but at the time, they believed in some crazy things. The head of the Wampanoag tribe caught on to this and told the leader of the Pilgrims, Leader Bradford. They wanted him dead, so they arranged for him to be executed. When they were going to execute him, a ship by the name of Fortune appeared on the horizon. This ship delayed Squanto's death because this ship held many Englishmen and were running out of supplies quickly. They needed help. I guess you could say this was Squanto's fortune. Okay, I promise I will never make a joke ever again. Squanto was vital to helping these people with his amazing translating skills. Then one day his nose started to bleed, which is a sign of death among many Indians. Squanto died shortly after. Rest in peace, Squanto. After many years of peace and new leaders, the English went to war with the Indians for their land. This land later became Massachusetts. Now somehow I have to make this 10 minutes long, so I will add some facts to go along with this. As many may not know, turkey was not at the top of the menu for this Thanksgiving. Deer was actually at the top of the menu. Turkey was not mentioned anywhere at all. Another fun fact is that about another 25,000 Englishmen arrived in the New World between the times of 1630 and 1642 before a plague drastically cut the numbers of the Indians in half. Another fact is that the Pilgrims were not actually pilgrims, but they were English Protestants looking for religious freedom in the New World. After the war between the Pilgrims and the Indians, they decided to make the colony of Massachusetts, which ended up becoming the most profitable country, sadly off of slave trade. Now, sadly, this is it, but thank you for listening.